Hi, welcome to Shelf Starters. I'm Rosie.
And I'm Kate. Hi, everyone.
Today we are finishing off the Faerie Queene. Yay!
Yes.
With a really weird ending with the Mutabilitie cantos that were essentially like they were found after his death. They were published after Spenser's death. So they were like extra parts of an extra book that we thought he was maybe in the middle of writing.
Yeah, it was the seventh book, wasn't it? That he was getting towards. Is that right?
I think so. Yeah,
Or
that's what it's like.
it says Cantos 6 in this book that we're reading.
Yes. It was like when they found it and published it, that's what we had. We had Canto 6 and 7 and a fragment from what we assume is, the seventh book.
The seventh book, because remembering he wanted to write 24 and he actually achieved 6. He died not long after writing this. And it kind of sounds like a person at the end of their life.
Yeah, it does a bit. And it's got a very different tone and structure to the rest of them as well. It seems a bit like a we've talked a lot in the previous episodes. Do we want to call what we're doing episodes? I don't know. Of how they follow one night, but then they go off onto tangents following other little storylines, and this just is one big tangent, really.
One massive tangent, and it's set in Ireland,
which is like where Spenser's from. So kind of, but
so he was a wealthy landowner in Ireland, wasn't he? And in County Cork, where my granny comes from, where I've never still been, but that's the Arlo Hill. That's where he sets this.
Right. So it's all following gods this time rather than following. I guess we've been following humans and also fairies, like mythical kind of people, but like all sort of supposedly taking place in a world that's very similar to ours, kind of thing. But here we're following mutability or change.
And he's sort of lamenting. He's saying he's very resistant to change. He feels so sad about the fact that we have to deal with change, which that's not a new thought. That's the big thing that we all fear, isn't it? Like
it is, but it's weird that it's seen in such an evil light, because I think a lot of today. So essentially, for a change, we are following a character who is not the hero of the story.
No,
that's different as well. Like it's Mutability is this god that
who's bringing something we don't like.
Yeah, but that was banished. So she's descended from the Titans. So she's not she's not supposed to be the hero. Well, the virtue that they're actually talking about is constancy.
Yes.
So permanence, like actually standing still. But I think it's really interesting that, like, yes, we've always feared change. Like everyone's afraid of change. That's like a typical thing that's going to last probably forever in humanity. But we also see change as progress in the modern age.
And paradoxically, we're also really afraid of the end, which equals no change. It equals permanency, as in it's over. And we're frightened of that too. So it's kind of a paradox that we exist with. And that's what this is really about, because he's basically saying the thing is we can kind of look forward to eternity.
Yes. So he's not afraid of death because he's got that spiritual part. So for the stability, permanence that's the goal.
It's a good news story. That's a goal. Yeah. Whereas for me, I think of that as that's scary. A permanent.
Essentially, that's
permanent
scary.
non-existence is extremely scary.
Yeah.
So it's hard to kind of read this and go, why is change such a terrible thing? But it's because also he was living at a time, I suppose, of great change and uncertainty. So Queen Elizabeth's heir was, she had no heir. Her reign was coming to its end. It was a new century, a new time. So there was plenty of change going on. So obviously that's where the resistance comes from. It's just too much, as they say, all too much.
Yeah.
I found it really quite hard.
It doesn't really last well. Like, it's not up with a modern audience, I don't think.
No, I think it's really very kind of almost counter to us.
Yeah.
And that was hard.
Harder to read, and I think that is because we're not following one. We're not following a sort of stable storyline. It's really like a moment in time. And it really feels like it is one of these side plots. And maybe we are night to follow and kind of like chart the actual progression of the story. So it is about Mutability, who wants to basically wants to be up with the gods again.
That's what it wants, to rule dominion, herself to gain. Yeah, all of that.
This is all based around this view of, because of course we're back in Spenser's time. So this view of the universe where Earth is the center and the planets revolve around Earth, and then the stars are beyond that and don't move at all. So it's a little bit hard to understand also because of these like background context bits that are a little bit different now.
But also it is very accusatory, isn't it? And that's hard to take because it's an accumulation of accusations, basically stanza by stanza.
We're talking about an actual trial.
Yeah, so it's exhausting.
She gets really annoyed and that she's not being treated like another god, and causes the moon to stop moving, stand still, which puts the heavens into darkness. And then the gods obviously realize, and they finally pay attention to her, and they're like, you can't do that. And she's trying to make a claim for having control over the heavens as well as over Earth, because she makes the very good point that she has a lot of control over Earth. Earth is constantly changing. Humans change all the time, both like beliefs, morals, opinions, but also we're growing. There's age, there's seasons changing, there's differences in weather patterns and things like that.
The weather goes on and on.
But then she also argues that the gods are also defined by change, because each god is named after either an element like water, air, fire, or a planet, which also move in this world around the Earth. So she's saying that also everything in the heavens is moving and changing, and therefore she should have control over that. And we're in this trial that's between her and the goddess of nature, basically Mother Nature. And nature is set back and says, I feel like that was a good argument. I would have gone with, everything is changing. Mutability is right. But then nature comes back with, yes, everything's changing, but it is in order to return to its perfect state.
Yes, that's right. So it's a bit like us, I suppose we could say. It's a bit like now and climate change,
It's to revert things back to how it should be.
Yeah, let's go back to where we were. Yeah.
So really, they're saying actually mutability is dependent on time, and as soon as we get to that perfect state, mutability would no longer be relevant, I suppose, is the thing. So I don't know, it felt like not as solid an argument to me, but anyway. But of course they win. It's supposed to be mutability bad. So she doesn't get her way, I suppose. But I don't know. I found it hard to understand the point that Spenser was making very much.
Me too. And to sustain my concentration, I found quite difficult. I found the rest so much easier to read than this. It was just interesting. I didn't dislike it. I just found it difficult and I guess the beauty of the language in the previous cantos and the previous books, you could really get into the rhythm of it and really enjoy it, but it's because of the tone.
And also that there was not as much description and things like that. Like it was all about, the heavenly spheres, like the like cosmos kind of thing. To the beautiful imagery we've had of the land and the sea, and we didn't really get that so much. But I mean, it's still got that nice rhythm and everything that I do enjoy. I wouldn't say it's not worth reading. It's a different experience. That's all. Yeah, it's very different. It's a bit jarring compared to the others, and I don't know, in a way, kind of a weird way to end the Faerie Queene, because obviously it's not ending, but it's weird way.
It wasn't intended to be the ending, but this is what we're left with.
Yeah.
With time cutting things down with its consuming sickle.
Yeah.
Which just reminded me of the ad for AIDS with the Grim Reaper.
Oh, the Grim Reaper, yeah.
Yeah, the Grim Reaper. That ad from the 80s. Yeah.
I've been learning, like, since we've been doing this whole project, I've been learning, like, seeing Cynthia referenced all the time as the moon.
Yes.
And Cynthia stands in as a representation for Queen Elizabeth as well. So this whole,
that's
like,
kind of interesting.
With the moon, I think. Yeah. Like, I feel like I'm learning a lot of the mythological references.
Yes.
Because they're up again. So
and
now
that cover you're holding right there, Rosie, she does look a bit moonish.
Yeah, she's got the moon face.
Yeah, and that whole kind of ethereal white glow, yeah, which you sort of do associate with the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, obviously it's important to read it, and it's really strange, isn't it, knowing that was like the last thing that he wrote for this whole series.
I wish he had written more, because once I got into this, I was loving it. Like, I really enjoyed it, and I mean, I find it hard to remember what happens in each particular book now. Like, it's all
because it's so dense.
Not really distinguish, which one's my favorite and things like that. But although I do still think that my favorite canto is the one that we did last time in the hall with creepy what do we call it? Like a procession. The procession.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
That's my favorite canto. I'm not sure about favorite book, but I really enjoyed the whole thing. Like, I was getting so into it. I had my rhythm with, like,
and then it's all sudden, and then we get this, and it's a sudden and abrupt ending.
And then ended, and I was like, oh.
I know, it's a bit sad.
That's it. But luckily, we are not done with Spenser, because I really do enjoy his writing.
And we have more.
We have more. We have to go back because we messed up. So we have to go back to Shepherd's Calendar, and then to some of these other short.
And then Amoretti. Yeah. We've got epithalamium.
I say epithalamium, but I'm not sure.
I don't know how you say that. I'm not sure.
Someone tell us, because
someone needs to tell us, because it's embarrassing that we don't know. But yes. So yes, we've got a little bit to go, which is good.
Abandoning him entirely, but how amazing that we finally got through the Faerie Queene, because to me this feels up there with Canterbury Tales and Beowulf as, like, the big hits, seminal
things that you don't want to have missed. The big hits of the day, for sure.
The reason we started this really was back about the really big hits that we hadn't covered before. So
we've done that, which is really good. Really good.
This sort of thing I would have really struggled to just start on my own without having anyone else to talk to about it. So I'm really glad we did it. I really loved it.
Me too. I'm very glad we did it.
Read it now, or at least give part of it a go, because it definitely is the sort of thing you can read little chunks of, not the whole thing.
Yes.
Maybe not the Mutability cantos. They're not our biggest recommendation.
You wouldn't want to start with that. That's for sure.
No.
That would be strange and sad. But it's beautiful, and I'm really glad we got to know it.
Yeah.
Spenser. Marvelous. So next week we'll do the finishing touches.
Back to Shepherd's Calendar next week.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. And then we've got a whole new zone, haven't we, after that?
Yeah. Well, yeah. After a couple more weeks of Spenser, then we go back to other poets, I think.
Yes, we do.
And
some selected, like, just different ones. A collection of.
We could try a few and see which ones we might like more, and if we want to explore more in our lives. So, poetry is a bit of a challenge for me, so we'll see. I find it hard to just want to sit down and read poetry, especially poetry like that, like Elizabethan stuff, sonnets and things. I don't often sit down and read a sonnet.
Oh, I think most readers feel that way. It's like, not.
Modern poetry is a little bit different. Like, I do occasionally read modern poetry, and this is different. I mean, obviously this is poetry, but like an epic poem, 100% would love that. But something has a bit of a storyline. But sonnets on their own, not something I'm very used to. So it could be a bit of a challenge, but what we're here for. So, all right.
That's great. All right. So happy finishing off reading, and we'll do that next time when we meet next time.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. And if we can, yes, anyone who knows how to pronounce that last one.
Yeah. Someone correct us because we don't know.
Yeah, it would be nice to hear. It would be nice to hear.
Yes.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.